The red Ferrari glistened under the midday sun, a flawless beast of power, except it didn't move. Its engine was dead. Its owner, Richard Mallory, a self-proclaimed business genius, stood beside it, smirking. Before him stood Elijah Carter, a quiet, broad-shouldered black mechanic in a faded blue jumpsuit, wiping grease from his hands. "You say you're the best, huh?" Richard sneered, loud enough for his friends to hear. "Tell you what, if you can make this thing run again, it's yours. But when you fail, I'll make sure everyone in this town knows what a fraud you are." Laughter echoed from his entourage, sharp and cruel. Elijah didn't flinch. He just looked at the car, then back at the man and said softly, "Deal." "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're re-watching from. I love knowing who is listening." The crowd gathered like vultures around the broken car. Richard leaned against his luxury SUV, sunglasses glinting, watching with the kind of arrogance that only comes from inherited wealth. Elijah opened the hood, and a hush fell over the onlookers. Inside, the engine was a mess, a tangle of expensive mistakes. Someone had tried to fix it before, carelessly. But Elijah didn't complain. He studied it like a surgeon staring at an open heart, his mind already mapping every connection, every possibility. He remembered his father, a humble mechanic from Alabama, who taught him one thing: engines are like people, son. They don't fail without warning. You just have to listen. So Elijah listened. To the silence. To the memory of his father's steady hands. To the rhythm of patience. Meanwhile, Richard whispered to his friends, "Watch this. We'll give him 10 minutes before he gives up." But Elijah didn't give up. He worked quietly, methodically. His hands moved with confidence, his brow glistening under the heat. The scent of oil filled the air. The crowd began to murmur. Something about the way he moved, precise, calm, sure, began to shift the energy. Even those who came to mock him now watched in silence. Then, a small click. A flicker of light on the dashboard. Elijah's lips curved into a faint smile. "Almost there," he whispered. Richard's smirk faded. "Wait, what did he just say?" For the next half hour, Elijah kept working. Sweat rolled down his temples, but his focus never broke. His tools, old, scratched, but well-loved, clinked rhythmically like a craftsman's song. At last he stepped back, wiped his hands, and said quietly, "Try now." Richard rolled his eyes, but humored him. He slid into the Ferrari's leather seat, turned the key, and froze. The engine roared to life. The sound tore through the silence like thunder. The crowd gasped. The red car purred, powerful and alive, its deep growl echoing through the lot. Elijah stood still, calm as the storm settled. Richard's hands trembled on the wheel. He revved the engine again, disbelief turning to panic. "How? How did you?" Elijah simply said. "You said it was mine if I made it run." The words hung in the air like a verdict. Laughter stopped. Conversations died. The only sound was the Ferrari's engine humming like justice itself. Richard stumbled out of the car, face pale. You can't be serious. That was a joke." Elijah's gaze was steady. "I don't joke about hard work. You gave your word," people started whispering. Few took out their phones. Richard's friends, sensing the shift in power, backed away. The millionaire who once mocked was now trapped by his own arrogance, his promise, broadcast before a crowd that would not forget. A man from the crowd spoke up. "He's right, Mallory. He said if he made it run, it's his." We all heard it. Another chimed in, "Keep your word." The murmurs grew louder, turning into a chant. "Keep your word." Richard's pride battled his fear. The truth was, he could easily afford another Ferrari, but he couldn't afford public humiliation. Not here. Not now. So, with his face burning and his ego shattered, he reached into his pocket, pulled out the keys, and threw them toward Elijah. "Fine," he spat. "Take it, but you'll regret this." Elijah caught the keys without looking away. "I don't regret earning what I was promised." A few weeks later, headlines spread across the local papers. Mechanic turns millionaire's mockery into miracle. But Elijah never sold the Ferrari. Instead, he started something new, a foundation that provided training and scholarships for underprivileged youth who wanted to learn mechanical engineering. The Ferrari sat in his workshop, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that dignity, once defended, can change lives. Then one morning, Richard walked into that same shop. His business had collapsed, his so-called friends had vanished, and his pride had finally broken. He stood before Elijah, humbled. "I came to apologize," he said quietly. "You didn't just fix that car. You'd fix something in me too." Elijah studied him for a moment, then nodded. Engines aren't the only things that can start again. They shook hands to men once divided by arrogance and pain, now bound by a simple act of humility. Because respect isn't given to those with wealth, it's earned by those with integrity. And sometimes the engine that truly needs repair isn't under a hood. It's the one beating inside a man's chest. If this story moved you, tell me what part hit you the hardest, and don't forget to subscribe to Cinematic Whispers, where every story reminds us that dignity always runs deeper than pride.